All right, guys. So welcome everyone to our Saturday morning coffee show. So today we're gonna participate in a resume review activity, right? We've done this before multiple times, just in Zoom, just through the meetup. But today is something new. We decided to live stream it, and we are live streaming it to LinkedIn and to YouTube. And hey, everyone who is joining us anyway. But we have a couple people who want to share your resume and anonymously, and we'll give the feedback. We'll give the feedback, and that's pretty much it. For Saturday morning, I think it's good enough. And guys who want to give us your resume, send us in the chat, and I'll share the screen. And yep. I see. I just want to. All right, we have uh, anonymous candidate. So, guys, yeah, we have one resume right now, Tammy and the person who iPhone. If you want to share your resume, you can drop it here in this chat, and we'll review it and we'll give you a feedback. If you want to stay anonymously, you better remove your sensitive information like your name and your contact information, email, phone, so you won't be exposed. All right, let me share my screen now. Hello.
Alrighty.
Yep.
All right. First one up. Want me to go ahead and share?
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome name. QA engineer. Are you able to see our screen, guys?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Let me see. Oh, it's one page resume.
Always good.
Yeah.
Starting from the top, I like how folks do, keep that pretty flat, their sort of contact information and links. I like that because if you don't keep it flat like that, you're losing valuable real estate,
Right.
and that white space doesn't look good. So immediately I like that. That's very smart.
Yeah, that's very smart. And I see also links in GitHub and LinkedIn. I'm not gonna press it, but this is great to have. Oops, sorry. Did I stop it? Second. Yep. Are you what do you guys see? Resume? Yeah. All right. And then yes, about GitHub link, right? Obviously, I mentioned that before. It should be legit content there. So if I'm clicking and going to GitHub,
Yeah.
And again, like it depends on the seniority, on the level of the candidate, right? So if it's junior resume for a junior position, then it's okay. It's more forgivable, I would say, right?
Yeah. It's more forgivable, but I mean, I think about it in the flip side. You want to be able to differentiate itself even more, because you're going to typically have more competition for junior positions compared to the more senior, more specific positions. But yes, either have something relevant or don't put it on.
Right.
But if you want to stand out from the crowd in tech, it's good to have it.
Right. For example, me, right? honestly, I don't have great GitHub account, and I'm not putting there too. So,
Yeah.
but I have experience though.
Mhm.
Um, all right, skills. Wow, very. It's very modest and humble skill section. I think an awesome name candidate. You better to list some more tools that you've been working in company one. Um, for example, because again, like from previous resume reviews with technical hiring managers, even
Mhm.
they mentioned that please list all tools and skills in this section so they don't need to search it in the experience, but
Yeah.
it should be linked in the experience. So if you see it in skills, they want to hear the story,
Yeah.
and like you do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, so far I can see the things that they have listed in the skills there. Obviously, I definitely agree with, I'm sure there are more skills than this.
For sure.
If they're, yeah, I would
I-
say if you don't, then maybe you can drop the skills section completely, but have to
No,
be.
I already see like monitor logs, network
Yeah.
console, right? DevTools, for example, it's not listed there.
Mhm.
Uh, Postman is not listed there, for example, right? Like I see that you've been doing there. What else? I mean, yeah, definitely for sure more than 3 items or 4 items. I'm sorry, including Jira. Yeah.
The other thing with this, I say this often, but it's definitely optional. So you don't have to make this change. It's very, very optional. Giving some sort of hint about the project
Mm,
that you're
that's
working
true.
on,
Yep.
right? Unless you're working for, let's just say something like really specific, like even then, like there's so much, like even if you like, let's say something like selling microphones, right? Your company sells microphones, right? But what are you in the front end, were you front end, back end focus? Some sort of hints there are really, really, I think, really helpful.
Yep. Totally. Uh,
Because and the reason, and only you know this, right? When recruiters and hiring managers are discussing positions, they're also talking about target companies, right?
Mhm.
Oh, this role, we've seen success hiring from fintech companies, right? As an example. And they're able to, somebody looking at your resume is able to, especially a recruiter, able to quickly determine that you have experience at a fintech company. You're going to put your resume, like identical resume, but one person has the fintech that they've seen success from in the past versus somebody who doesn't have the fintech. They're going to call, they want to get in touch with the person with that specific thing. So that's why I bring up giving a little bit more hint about what your company and what project you were doing. Brief, very, very brief, I'm talking about here.
Actually, I'm very glad that you brought it up, because I was working with several companies, and they were looking from a specific industry and specific companies.
Mhm.
But it also can work against you as well, because for example,
Right.
I'm not gonna name the client's name, but that was a Silicon Valley startup, and they told me like, Evgeny, please don't bring candidates from Comcast, like networking companies, even Oracle, like
Oh man.
big names,
Yeah.
big names. They don't want to. I was like, what? Why? Because they are old school.
Yeah. But you're not going to be able to hide that. They can get that information
Right.
anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even then, so this is how I think about it, is like, if somebody's not going to hire you, right? Said it, I think, a couple of weeks ago as well. Do I want to find out sooner or later?
Right.
Do I want to find out after I've had a recruiter screening that I have experience at this bigger, larger tech company that's been around for a long time,
Right.
but has a reputation for this particular client that
Right.
I'd rather, I mean, me personally, I'd rather they not
Yeah,
call me
true,
and waste my
true,
time.
true. And this is also another, I mean, it flows to another topic like about the rejection, right? This is one of the uh, reasons
Mhm.
why probably your resume wasn't picked up, because they were looking for specific companies.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not bad or good, right?
Yeah.
You can work on, for example, Chase in the banking industry, right? For some fintech company, that would be awesome. But for some startups, it would be like, oh no, I don't want to hire people from big corporations, for example, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, for other corporations, it's highly desirable. They want,
Yeah.
okay, this guy knows, especially from those who are from competitors, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
this is something also to consider. So yeah.
One other thing that I really like about this resume that pops out to me right away, which is something I mean, I probably gives people this feedback like at least like once or twice a week, is you see like, they're talking about QA trainee, e-commerce project as they're going down. Now the research assistant, academic tutor, they're taking less and less space to describe those things that are not super relevant,
Right.
but could be interesting to potential. It is part of their experience and could be interesting, but really continuing to reduce the real estate those things take. Because I've seen it in reverse, where people have like their most recent experience is like, is 4 bullet points,
Yeah.
and their experience from like completely like non-tech, like
Right.
when they were a physical trainer or something. I just use that as an example, or a doesn't matter.
Right.
That thing is taking like 5 bullet points. Like, yeah, that's really interesting. You did some interesting things as a physical trainer, and interesting here. They mentioned one of their projects was like fitness app project, and somebody like that is hiring. They're gonna want to hire. They're gonna want to call this person, right?
Mhm.
But you got to keep it very, 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 very brief, and it cannot take away the same real estate as more relevant projects or more relevant experience.
Yeah. So for this one candidate, really good job. You highlight the most important and relevant skills, because from your resume, I'm seeing that you are targeting for QA engineering positions. And from the beginning, from the top, I can see, oh yeah, she's highlighting the most relevant experience.
Mhm.
And also mentioning that, oh, actually, I was also a research assistant, which also gives additional valuable information, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for example, not yesterday, a day ago, like on Thursday, we had a mock interview, and then it went to the resume reviews. This is very common for career changers. So they don't have uh, experience, the real working experience, and
Mhm.
they don't know how to convert their experience, and that's why it looks irrelevant resume.
Yeah.
This is the hardest part, right? I understand it is the hardest part, especially if you don't have the previous experience. But you need to highlight what is the most important, and don't make us guessing like, oh, maybe you are a software tester, right? Maybe you have this experience somewhere in down the line in company number 3. No,
Mhm.
as you did, as candidate, awesome name candidate,
Yeah.
you brought everything up, and that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to add. Maybe Adeel, what do you think?
No, I think this may be very, very picky. But the QA engineer, that kind of like everything is center, the top half is center line, and that just looks a little bit odd to me, but I don't think it's gonna present any problems as far as the callbacks and what you get. Just some aesthetic stuff being mentioned here. Overall, I think it's clean, it's simple. I didn't go through and check every quickly. I didn't get a chance to, obviously making sure grammar looks good and all of those things. I think you can make think about more of your skills and think about highlighting some information about the project. But overall, looks really clean.
Yeah, definitely. I think I can give you a 5-star in terms of the styling. Very easy to read, very clean. It's a big thing, right? Needs to improve, as we mentioned, at skills section, like tools, make technical recruiters who won't be able, I mean, they will not have time to go deep and dive into your experience. They need to see it in the skills section, listed there. We haven't checked the wording itself here, but it looks fine. Obviously, there's a lot of things. Like last time, I believe it was yeah, like last time. All technical recruiters, they were saying, explain the story, right? Like
Explain the story,
in the experience section, not just, oh, I've done this or I've done, and this is even hard for me too.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the impact you had. What this resume is definitely missing. If they were targeting something very, very specific, they would call you back, but it's missing the impact. Were you able to reduce the cycle time? Were you able to find interesting bugs? Were you able to were you able to increase the test coverage? Those things. This resume is definitely missing those metrics, and that's harder sometimes to understand and get feedback on from like people in your network, right? Because that's first thing we would like to do is like take our resume and show it to people in our network and get feedback. It's very easy to tell what is wrong or what is off or what is too much of. What's harder for people to give feedback on is what's missing, right? I mean, that's just that's psychology, right?
Right.
This is definitely missing impact. This is not talking about like things like how often was the team releasing. That's one aspect of. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that's just describing. What I'm talking about is your impact. This doesn't have that impact, and as candidates, you're like, hey, let's have a call and I'll share that impact. But what are recruiters and hiring managers doing? They're deciding based on your resume whether to call you back or somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's missing that impact for sure.
Yeah, totally. Brian Ross said also about that they're looking, oh, how do you like the results, the achievements that translates in the experience, which is for me, it's hard to do. I mean, it's
very hard to do
because you're working in the routine. You don't know, like, oh, I've done this and this and this. What is my impact, right? Like especially like IC roles, they don't really thinking about that. They just do the tasks, right?
Yeah, like also impact words, impact verbs, right? Participated in defect triage meetings, right? Very passive versus versus facilitating, leading triage meetings, or leading the if you were the only tester on your team, leading it from a quality perspective or something like that's going to have more impact, be more passive, right?
Yeah.
Whether you believe it or not, you are telling a story. And that's how this just the brain works. It will quickly tell its own story. When it doesn't have enough information, brain would fill in that information. The story, when you're using impact verbs versus passive verbs, are also creating a story. So something to be mindful of.
Yep, definitely. All right.
We had a question on there.
Uh,
Is there a difference as a QA or quality engineer? Not really. I think there are different titles, lots of different titles that that are used in our industry. I don't know if you want to expand on that. We can come back to that topic. What's the next question? If you've been a volunteer as a QA, would you put that in the experience section or create a section for volunteering? I think it's fair to put that in your experience section as long as you call it out very clearly. What you don't want is somebody to misinterpret that. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
It depends.
Or-
If obviously, right?
Mhm.
If you don't have the experience and your volunteering experience is the only you have,
Mhm.
yeah, for sure. Like you have to flesh it out as well. That again, like the main idea of your resume is to grab attention, right? And this is not something where you need to be shy. You don't need to lie on your resume necessarily,
Yeah.
right?
No.
But at the same time, you have to be okay. If I don't have any other experience, then you have to show that your volunteering experience was treated as your real working experience, and this is how you did it. This is
Yeah.
what you've done there. So don't be shy there.
Yeah. If you're looking for more information on impact verbs, you can Google that. I can look into sharing some of that separately, posting some information about that on my LinkedIn later on this weekend. But you can Google it. You can also use one of the million AI things right now. You can just ask Chat GPT here, put a sentence in there and ask it to convert it into to have more impact as a resume bullet point.
Don't go too fancy.
No. Definitely don't. You want to keep it simple. One thing, this is something I picked up in middle school in English, and it's stuck with me ever since. I don't know if you've heard of this acronym.
Sure.
KISS. KISS.
I don't remember.
I remind myself of this on a daily basis, especially when I'm writing. Keep it simple, stupid.
Okay.
KISS. And this was something like middle school, like 7th grade in English or something like that, where my teacher presented that to us when you're writing, right? Because I tended to have very long run-on sentences, which is like grammatically, those are a nightmare to get it correct. But if you keep your sentences simple, you're much likely to have to be within like grammar expectations or expectations that other people have of your writing.
This is so funny. It's off topic. I mean, I grew up in Russia, right? And I went to school, university. So the language itself, it's so different. There, keep it simple, stupid, doesn't really work. If you see, and you can see like the wording of Russians, how they write sentences. They're usually long, like with commas, with it's not grammatically, but it's long sentences, like with a lot of meanings in that. So when I came here, I went to school as well, to ESL classes. They said, "Again, you need to cut your sentences, make it very simple, make it very concise and clear." This is the biggest, like, for me, eye-opening.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, it was like, whoa, really? Okay, interesting.
What's since we're off topic a little bit, help me understand the pronunciation. I've read Crime and Punishment, so I was like immediately taken back, and some of the other books by that author.
Yeah.
How do you say his name? Theodore
Dostoevsky.
Oh wow. Okay, I'm gonna need to. No, I'm not gonna try it. I'm not gonna offend people with that last name.
Say. How would you say?
I don't think I've.
Say it.
I'm so off. I have it in my. Say it again for me.
Dostoevsky.
Wow.
This is in Russian, right?
I would be way off. Okay, cool. Thank you. What's up next? Do you want to pick another resume and come back to the questions?
There's a question. What advice do you have for someone moving from QA to DevOps?
Interesting. So I think in some ways, I'm not sure if they mean like what they exactly mean by QA, but in general, with DevOps, there's certain similar themes, right? When you think about QA or DevOps, there's this theme like it's an engineering services uh, uh, kind of world, right?
Right.
DevOps obviously focus more on infrastructure. You know, you can say DevOps, you can say SRE, you can say infrastructure engineer. There's a lot of different nuances there. I think the biggest thing is you have to be able to demonstrate your skills in DevOps and automation. So CI/CD has to be the top of it. You have to have that. You have to have some sort of cloud certification, AWS, Google, whatever the case. If you're already at a current job, what would be great is to ask somebody there already to guide you in what trainings, what different things you can do. And that would be the best opportunity if you could move from within your company, from one role to another.
That would be the easiest one, right? Like
that's the
I saw that many times.
Yes, same here. So that's what I would be focused on. Talk to the people that that you want to be like, your DevOps team at your current company, get guidance, work on those things. Always remember, whenever you're trying to make jumps as far as your career, it's not something you measure in inches, right? The effort is in inches, but it's going to be measured across like a longer horizon of time, right? Some people may get an opportunity, somebody might say, you know what, come on board, we'll teach you. And that's great. But most of the time you have to demonstrate something ahead of that, right? You have to complete some certification, you have to complete some projects, stuff like that. That would be my recommendation.
Totally. Okay. Yeah, guys, we're streaming into LinkedIn and YouTube. Those who are looking us at those platforms, if you want to share your resume and you want us to review it, join to Crushing Interview. Let me type it here, and you can join to the Zoom meeting in the Crushing Interview itself and drop it here. Let me put it. Give me 1 second before we move to another. Yep.
I just want to say thank you for the feedback. I'll make the changes.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, let's move with the next resume in the line. This one. Okay.
Yeah.
Right here.
It will go by itself. Okay, cool. Anonymous. We have lots of gnats in the office, so
Okay.
now that it's getting warmer, sorry about that. But it's a great space overall.
Yeah, we're streaming, guys. If you don't know, we're streaming in the office, in Adeel's office, Chow Now company, and we want to say thank you for giving us opportunity. Thank you, Adeel, to you that you drive this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is, you see, it's not a green screen. It's a real space. So yeah.
No, I mean, it's a beautiful space, and the culture here, everybody's encouraging to take advantage of it. You know, we have different events, and other podcasts and stuff here as well, always going on. So yeah, I'm glad we could do it here, and it's halfway for us, kind of, right?
Yeah.
So so it's brilliant.
Totally perfect for us. All right, anonymous software engineer in test, San Francisco. Number, yeah, same thing. Like you may be, as we mentioned before, put LinkedIn link on the same line with your contact information.
Totally. And I don't know if this happened while they were making this, immediately pops out. I'm guessing it probably happened because they were making their resume anonymous quickly.
Yeah.
But overall, like the fonts are a little different. Like so just pay attention to that. But you can, what Evgeny said, you can move LinkedIn to the same a LinkedIn link to the same line,
Yeah.
but make it clickable, make it useful. That's usually, people will appreciate that.
Yeah, let's assume that it was with a formatting issues, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's assume that you have everything lined up in the one line.
Mhm.
And then we have
Yeah, I think the next section you might have some things to say about the summary.
oh yeah.
Go
Well,
ahead.
Again, like 4 bullets, like half of your resume. It's not half, okay. It's like solid 25% of your resume is going to the summary. And summary is supposed to be very short, concise, and to the point right away. It's like the headliner of your advertisement, right?
Mhm.
You don't want to explain everything in your advertisement in the first line. And your summary is supposed to be like first line. And again, bold, why you put in the bold font, the like what is the reason you want to highlight? Do you want me to ask you about Java Selenium WebDriver? I will do it. Like all this, yeah.
There's a lot of repetition because you're repeating things. You're putting them in your summary, you're putting them in your skills, and then you're putting them in your professional experience. Yeah, your summary should be a lot shorter, a lot more concise, and you could also choose to like skip it, but that's not necessarily what I'm recommending here, but definitely needs to be way smaller. And then you start to look at, now you have your summary, paying attention to formatting. That attention to detail is really important, because what happens is the human, like people will interpret, like, again, I don't think it's going to impact your how many people call you, but subconsciously, when you have something wrong, it sticks out to the mind, and they don't always know. So like how the bullet points are in the summary versus professional experience or technical skills are different. You see the spacing, you see all of those things. Formatting. So your summary section is also very, because of that small formatting difference, it becomes very busy in my mind. You have extra spaces in your margins, but then your line spacing is very, very tight as well. So understanding the power of less is more and white space in written documentation is super important.
And I know several hiring managers in software testing who said that this person didn't QA his resume, right? So in software testing and QA, paying attention to details is super like important, right? And for several, I know personally, like several hiring managers for whom this type of thing would be a stopper or blocker. Not necessarily for, but just keep it.
So I would say, like, this resume, if you remove the summary section right now, would be at least like 20, 25, 30% better. Just because, and that's the impact. And the reason I'm bringing it up is that's the impact you're having on people who are reading your resume. You have to be able to look at it from their perspective.
Right.
That is the impact you're having. You're having 20%, 25% less impact because of this section alone. But let's move on from there.
Yep. Technical skills. Python.
Interesting. While you're reading that on technical skills, somebody said something that I just repeating it for everybody else is, sometimes we'll see in resumes that people try to rate their technical skills, like how much of an expert they are on a particular language. I've heard from recruiters, I personally don't mind it as much. More of a curiosity, like I'm very neutral on that. But I've heard from recruiters that they don't like that, because that can, they would rather talk to you and figure that out versus you rate yourself on something. And it's way, and it doesn't carry meaning for recruiters at all.
Right. They actually it actually gives the negative impact.
Mhm. Yeah.
Don't rate yourself. Let them rate you
Mhm.
instead, right? So don't say like I'm awesome or I'm not good. You don't know.
Yeah.
Let people
Yeah.
rate you.
Because hiring managers may talk in those terms, right? Hiring managers may talk in terms of, well, I want somebody who's really good at object-oriented programming. But recruiters are looking at, well, they have this much years of experience in a particular language, and then they'll have questions to vet out more details.
Right.
Overall, I think again, just attention to detail. I don't know why Jenkins is all capitalized.
An API API itself should be capitalized, but testing, I mean,
Yeah, so just some small details. I don't think overall they hurt your hireability, but just some aesthetic stuff there. Calling out, it's also kind of interesting that they called out API testing separately. That's up to you. Your call, like there's testing tools and there's API testing. Just revisit how you want to group them. Nothing too bad. Nothing glaring stands out overall, right?
on the question like why did you put everything in one line? Build CI in TM tools, Maven, Jenkins, Jira, TestRail, GitHub. They looks like like Maven could be, I don't know.
Mhm.
But again, I'm just
It's not
getting to-
yeah it's not impacting
Yeah.
the overall just some feedback to take into consideration.
Okay. Yeah, but the styling itself, anonymous candidate with this resume, I would suggest you to don't use templates though, but it's I don't know, something odd here with the styling. It's harder to read because first of all, the bold font everywhere, right? So it's distracting, to be honest. Professional experience, software engineering test, and company number one. I mean, it's like a three bold thing, and you want to put it in like what is most important. So on some conscious level, it looks okay, but something odd.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big opportunity here. With
And
formatting.
Look, you have semicolons on technical skills, professional experience, and summary does not have it, right? Like what is the why you using here? And so the styling itself, right? Just make it easier to consume, easier, like pretty to read.
Yeah, they need help on that. I would suggest starting with Googling other resumes that you like, and then maybe
just use our template. We have a templates in the crushing interview section, share knowledge. Just go there. We post there the templates for software engineers.
Mhm.
Just use it. Yep, for free.
Yeah. Let's see here. Immediately I like the fact that they have it's a very long sentence. They've put everything in like one sentence. But there's impact there. Created and organized, like the organized is an extra verb, extra word there that's not needed. Page object model. There's just a lot stuffed in there. Really big sentence. In fact, what's getting lost is that impact, but actually you have not bolded the impact. But as a reader, especially as a recruiter or a hiring manager, that impact is the biggest thing. Like 70% reduction in testing time and a 60% improvement in testing coverage. Those are really interesting numbers, and those are, it's detracting from that.
Yeah.
And then there's repetition too. If you look at the second one, right? There's so much repetition in this resume, right? Like Selenium. How many times am I going to hear about Selenium? Selenium is in your summary. Selenium is your technical skill. Selenium is in your line 1 of your first professional experience. And it's also in bullet point 2. right? Perform UI testing using Selenium WebDriver, Java JUnit. I know you're trying to highlight that you did 2 different automation projects in your time there, which is great. But starts to be a little repetitive. I like the impact, like sharing like how you made something better, percentages. Those are good.
Yeah. All right. Second page.
Conducted database testing, cross-browser testing. You already talked about UI automation. Now we're talking about cross-browser testing. Overall, I think there's some really interesting things here. There's some really interesting things you've done. I liked this person. Definitely seems like they have good storytelling skills, but just being a little repetitive.
And
A little
again,
too much repetitive.
what I want to highlight, keep it simple, as Adeel said, right?
Mhm.
Those 3 bullets, they like pretty long, to be honest, again, hard
Yeah.
to consume. But those, the following bullets, you break it in a shorter format, which is easier to consume. So try to do the same thing with this one, right? So
Mhm.
don't try to consume everything at once. Make it easier to digest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in terms of like the content, it looks like you have experience. You want to highlight that you are automation test engineer. I
Yeah.
can see it.
So let's use Git as a version control system and GitHub as repository for tracking changes. You already touched Git and GitHub. Again, very repetitive.
Right.
Very repetitive. I'm guessing you wrote this section a while ago, so that the formatting doesn't match either. You know, you were doing, you're bolding things earlier, you stopped doing it, maybe because you've already bolded them before. I don't know. But the style change. So when things get repetitive in multiple, like if you use Git and GitHub, you don't need to explain that multiple times over and over again. Just a reminder also on just sharing some of your and then the impact. Like you had really great impact in your previous position, but on your second one, you haven't shared that impact. You know, like those things might be more helpful at that point in time than the repetitive things that are being repeated here across one more time.
Actually, impact, it will be not repeated, right? Because it's different companies,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And impact different.
That's different. Yeah.
But that you've done GitHub in both companies is repetitive.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think, yeah.
Overall, I think have some potential around storytelling. Hopefully, they take some of this feedback to help improve it. But I don't think they're going to have too much problem getting hits on this interview. But they'll lose some people because of some of the things you covered already, and they will also they'll also, like, that resume, how busy it is, how inconsistent it is.
Yeah.
That's gonna bias subconsciously. It's gonna bias your hiring manager, your panel, because they're all gonna get to see your resume before they talk to you.
Yeah.
Right. They already have built an impression of you based on your resume.
So, yeah, just, want to highlight exactly. The bias would be like, oh, this person didn't really care about his resume. He just
Potentially.
yeah. I'm not saying that you didn't care, but the impression that, oh, I just put it here, there, like highlight some stuff, and here we go. So be very respectful. I mean, again, like treat it as the main advertisement poster, right?
Yeah.
You have to think through like million times. It looks simple in the beginning, but in reality, there is so many time was involved if polishing. So that's yeah. But again,
Do you
okay,
think I can ask a question about the resume?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What's up?
So you mentioned that I shouldn't mention something that I already mentioned in one company and I shouldn't mention it in the second company. How can I say that I already used the same tool in both companies? Or I shouldn't do it at all?
Well,
We are in mute.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily saying you shouldn't. Thank you for correcting. That's a sentence you hear every day at work. You're on mute, right? Not necessarily saying you shouldn't include it, right? If you use the same tools, that's great. But for you specifically, see how you have shared it, the verbiage you have shared, right? Somebody who's reviewing your resume already knows what Git and GitHub are, right? Talk about so that it's very repetitive again to say you can just mention it. What I'm trying to say is the Git and GitHub part, that's not really relevant to repeat. There might be other things that you want to still repeat. You might want to repeat the languages and the framework. If you're using the identical one, that's okay to repeat. But by that point in time, they have no doubts about your ability to use Git and GitHub, right? So it's very targeted. So it's not generic.
Yeah, what Adeel says that you're trying to make it black and white, but here what we are saying, well, if you mentioned and described it in the last your experience, right? Or in the first experience, you don't need to describe the same way how you describe it in the previous or the following. So we know that okay, the second one we'll say, oh, he did it the same thing, but okay, that's okay, But there you was, oh, GitHub I was using as a for this purpose, and Git as a version control. Well, we assume that GitHub and Git, they pretty much, we already see that, right?
Yeah, definitely take it case by case. Don't take it as a blanket.
Right. So it feels that you are trying to fill your resume with a filler words. That's what brings the
that's the feeling, and that's not necessarily your intention,
right?
But it's the impact. Again, it's just a reminder. What we're trying to share is the impact you may potentially be having on the people reading your resume. So yeah.
I mean, I have the same problem also, right? Because resume, again, like it cannot be fit to anyone.
Sorry about that.
No worries. It cannot be fit to anyone. But like, what I've done in my past company, my last company, I would assume, okay, I've done automation. I don't need to describe like what kind of tools I was using. But recruiters, they don't see it, right? They don't know.
Yeah.
So think about it. Like, who is your first reader? First and the second. The first would be the recruiter. Second would be hiring manager. That's it, right?
Yeah.
It will not be, well, possibly it will be engineering team, like engineers, but the most important
but
part,
the personas, those are the two personas you want to care about the most. If you can put yourself in their shoes, you will have a fantastic resume.
Yep. Okay, we have 2 more resumes to go. 3. Let's try it briefly. Okay, and post your questions on this one. All right, able to see it?
Right. If you are comfortable with keeping your resume the same way, I will just say I feel like you're missing out on real estate at your header by having just a phone number, take 1 line, email just 1 line, LinkedIn 1 line. But
we just mentioned
everything you have is is that way. If you're more comfortable with it, definitely stick to it. I just think it's a real estate
Yeah.
real estate thing.
So look, you don't have real estate because of this, right? You're losing 4 lines here.
Mhm.
And you're trying to cut, I mean, you're trying to save this by, how you call it this, by margins,
Mhm.
right? But honestly, it looks, I've done this the same way.
Oh yeah,
I was stretching
same here.
my resume. So, but it looks odd. It looks like you're trying to put everything in one
Yeah.
page. So make
White space is your white space is your friend. Obviously, I mean it's an estet interview, you know, a resume. But if you were a front end, spending a lot more time with designers, you would understand the value of white space and how that contributes to readability.
Yeah. So I would suggest to bring back your margins. I mean, again, I've
Yeah.
done this too.
You can bring back margins, and you can also reduce your font. Most people are going to look at it. They're not going to print out and look at it. They're going to look at it on their computers, and they'll be able to zoom in and out. So so you can reduce the font and increase your left and right margins, definitely.
Right. And again, like
Mhm.
the contact information could be saved a lot of space.
Yeah.
Summary. Much shorter than previous summers, which is already good.
Mhm.
But it still could be
Yeah. I
still
know.
a lot, I think.
We know by this point how you feel about summaries.
Yeah, I think two lines is more than enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I mean, I think just keeping in mind, just being careful how you describe yourself.
Right.
Efficient and responsible. Most people are going to assume that they want to start out with assuming everybody is efficient and responsible.
Nobody wants to hire inefficient and irresponsible.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the trend of for the recent years. I see that it's actually bringing negative, and like people laugh about those words. Like, so don't make people laugh.
But
yeah,
keep in mind, we're not laughing at.
We're not laughing.
We're just sharing, like, those things are, you know, you want to, the way I describe it is, I have this tendency as well.
Me too.
People want to convey in terms of emotions, right?
Right.
I want to convey to you in my written communication how, you know, like, I want to appeal to your emotions, right? I want to appeal to your emotions around, like, hey, I'm really efficient and responsible. You want to hire me? It's not needed. I mean, obviously we haven't gone down, but you have plenty of great experience here. And that made, probably, I'm guessing it was just a decision because it just sounded better. I'm sure they didn't, it's not what they're going for.
In my resume,
I think,
was result oriented, you know, this type of things.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
but
it's small. I would just look at those 2 words. Overall, I think nothing too crazy with your summary. You've kept it, relatively speaking, small.
It is, yeah. Compared to previous, yeah, definitely. Skills. I like that he didn't group it into like, oh, this is programming languages. So you put it here. I understand it's a programming languages.
Yeah.
I
like that.
Yeah, and you save the space here. Recruiters, they looking not in the grouping, but they're looking in the specific words. So they probably using Control F, right? So Control F, does this person has, let's say, automation or JavaScript? Oh yeah, he does, right?
Yeah, no, I like it. I hope other people take inspiration from this one. You don't have to
explain,
because those labels sometimes, that grouping sometimes can be so subjective.
Yeah,
and confusing,
like,
and you might overthink it,
right? Like
somebody like me is totally going to overthinking. This is beautiful. This is pretty clear.
I like it. Yep. Relevant experience. Senior automation engineer, some material.
Another just kind of idea of saving some space, like your duration and the location, you can move that to the
in the one line.
in the one line, and you would save some real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
I have a question about this, because in some cases the automatic resume reader, or how to call it, I'm not sure, were missing dates if I put it in the same line. So that's why it was before on the same line, but now I split it because of this situations, I think.
Yeah, but your resume is reading not by ATS, by hiring managers and technical recruiters. So you have to make your resume for them, not for ATS. If ATS is not parsing, then yeah, you have to manually do it. I know it's annoying, but your audience is not ATS. If you have to copy paste, I actually wrote this the topic about this in LinkedIn. How often you drop your application when you were trying to submit the application, and it was asking like, submit your dates and basically repeat yourself during the application process, right? Instead of like the ATS is parsing your information. I've done this, like if I saw 10 steps to apply, I was like, I don't want to apply there.
Yeah.
Too long, yeah. So again, you don't need to care. You care about like reader.
Yeah, and I think if you're concerned that the duration is not being picked up, you can put that first. Like location is less important on a particular position. Anyway, I feel.
Yeah. I mean,
they already have the location overall, like where they are, right?
Yeah. I mean, there is no perfect resume that will fit through any ATS. That's it. You just make it efficient to read.
And if you optimize for ATS, you've de-optimized for the human eyes.
Don't optimize for ATS, that is for sure. Like treat it like there's no ATS. And the same thing with a bold font highlighting Postman protractor. It's unnecessarily. It distracts.
I'm sorry, but I don't know what PO reviews are. I'm looking at it too, but I'm not sure what that means.
Sure. PO reviews are product owner reviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Acronyms, good reminder of like acronyms in sometimes that might be difficult for different folks to interpret. I think in general, but there's also repetition. Thank you for pointing that out. Right, there is participated, and again, passive verb versus impact. PO reviews are repeated, and another bullet point, participated in PO reviews. So you may wanna drop that. I'm not sure doesn't seem very relevant kind of information. There might be more things here that might be more impactful that you want to move up than mentioning participated in acceptance test and PO reviews.
Right.
Yeah.
Small thing, but sometimes people can be picky. It's all in the past tense, but you're still working. So, people can be picky about that too.
Yeah. Any thoughts there about
so it's like
past or present in resumes? What would you, do you have a recommendation for that?
Not my recommendation, but in the industry across.
Yes.
That your present company is supposed to be written in the present tense. Like you're still authorizing, you're still planning, you're still doing this. So what are you doing? If you've done this, actually, I have the same question, right? What if I'm not doing this anymore and I've done this once, like in the beginning? But yeah, that's general rule of thumb. But all the past experience, like here, authorized, planned. And again, I'm not picky about this.
Yeah, I think that one might be a gray area.
It is.
It's kind of a very gray area.
Yeah.
We'll have to share some thoughts on that. later on, or maybe invite somebody else to chime in, and not just take
Yeah.
not just take our word for it.
Yeah.
Interesting point though.
Well, this one, I think it's unnecessary. Joined as a manual QA, but you are QA automation engineer. Just drop it to join as a manual QA.
Yeah.
You was there. I mean, again, it's
You weren't there. I mean, if you're at a company very long time, then you may want to, like, my previous employer, I was there 10 years, right? So
oh, you.
I just
yeah, correct.
I think it wasn't the previous one, the one before. You can just have it under same heading, and then have different positions
Correct.
highlighted if
Yep.
you want. If it's relevant for you to go through.
If
through
you want
that
to show the
journey.
progress, right? Like
Yeah.
what you've done there. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and sometimes you want to separate. Sometimes it's just good to separate those things out, because some of those responsibilities might be
Yeah.
might not be complementary, and may not give the exact context.
Definitely. Okay, we have one more. Okay. Over 5 minutes, but
Yeah, hopefully people are getting something out of it. Really interesting kind of resumes today. I felt like, so good variety.
Yeah.
For people, because it's not just about your resume being reviewed. I feel like if you're here, you should be taking inspiration from other people as well. So I think all of them had something that people can take with them.
Yep.
Okay, so we may have to power through.
Definitely. We have last resume. Okay, let's do the last resume. No, this one. But for some reason it's not opening.
Yeah, whoever that is, could you,
Readable content.
my draft resume, software Q engineer, docx, could you send it to us in PDF?
Yeah, it's not opening.
Send it to us in PDF. We're on a Mac laptop. So
there could be a while you're doing this. So guys, again, if you want to get your resume reviewed, we're gonna do the next Saturday, the same thing. Join us to the crushing interview. I'll post in the YouTube and LinkedIn chat as well. Join there if you want to get shared collective opinion. Post it in the Ask Me Anything section in the crushing interview.
Yeah.
And actually read it before posting it as well, because we're giving the feedback. And if you guys see it, it's very repetitive feedback, because this is the most common, I would say, mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Improvements.
Happy to, do this async for people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we have one to look at?
Yeah, we have one.
Yeah. This is one, again, repetitive feedback. As a hiring manager, I always tell people PDF is the way to go.
Yeah.
I want to consume it in a PDF, but I know sometimes as recruiters, they prefer to get it in sort of a Word doc kind of a document kind of format in order to help and modify things there. But
yep. All right. Oh, like, ooh, this is.
I don't. Part of this is, are formatted really nicely, but the some parts of it are like not done very well. So I don't know if this person had it professionally made by somebody who wasn't.
I'm sorry, but I don't see your screen. It says double click to enter full screen mode.
Oh, okay.
Stop it. Yeah.
Let me try again. This. How about now? Oh, not this.
No, it's just, yeah. Okay, now I see it.
Perfect.
What do you see, guys?
That's what they're seeing. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, Anon, right? Oh, so many styles in one resume. It's hard to read, but
Yeah, I mean, just immediately what pops out is like you see line spacing. Like that's off. It's not consistent either, I feel like between, like if you're going between sections, you want a little bit like once the
yeah.
qualification summary section ends and project and technical expertise starts, there's no line spacing. And again, this alone may only impact 5% or 4%, right? So it's not but sometimes it's a game of inches, getting callbacks and getting jobs. And wow, like the formatting really changes on the second page. So, I mean, I don't think we have to dive more into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
You have to invest into the formatting, make it pretty easy to read.
Yeah.
Because it looks like, again, like,
Yeah.
not that you intended to do this, but it looks sloppy.
Yeah, I think
Hard to read.
but overall you can reduce the bullet points there. Like getting to the heart of it, go up to the top. Over 9 years experience. If you're going to have a summary, just letting people know upfront how many years of experience, like that's good rather than trying to describe yourself
Right.
in a certain way. But then, like over 5 years experience using Jira, like 3 years experience using Azure DevOps, probably not, probably too much information here. So look to reduce that. Then we got the project and technical expertise.
Oh yeah, you're talking about this one. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
how
unnecessary.
valuable it is in.
Yeah, and
your-
it's taking really valuable real estate.
right,
And it's not gonna
which could be the space and making like
Yeah.
easier to read, right?
totally. Methodologies. That is an interesting one to have under your technical expertise. There's too much going. I don't know if you need all the methodologies called out. That's just me personally. It gets very, very busy.
It is, and I'm not sure what I mean. Testing methodologies, unit, server, web.
User acceptance testing, business acceptance
It
testing.
looks like everything. I mean, and this is what we were talking about when you're grouping them, right?
Mhm.
Make it busy, make it
Yeah.
task planning.
And those are not
Defect
typically
management.
people, those are not, I mean, if you're looking to optimize for keywords, those are not keywords people are looking for this type of position, I don't think.
What is I don't see, where's the position?
I mean, I'm guessing from their professional experience, they're looking for QA position.
Oh yeah,
but they
and this
haven't-
is something that also not clear from the beginning, right? Again, like we're reading from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, totally.
It takes time to figure it out. Are you planning to apply for QA analyst position?
Yeah.
That would be my question, right?
I'm also not exactly sure why they have highlighted like all these cloud things. Like you're using Azure cloud, like the whole like EC2, S3, Elastic Load Balancer, ELB, subnet, gateway. It's very it's not necessary. So I guess we can move on.
Well, maybe the person is targeting for the cloud positions.
But that's not going to help you in cloud position. If you're looking to make a transition with this resume to more of a DevOps, or you want to show that you want to be in a hybrid role or something like that, that's great. But this is actually going to be negative for you. Like, how is subnet? How is subnet a cloud thing? That's a networking thing. Domain name services. I'm not really. I think you mentioning that kind of gives more context. Like, okay, cool, but it's not hitting the right. Are you trying? If they're trying to say that it's better to mention a certification in which I think they have postgraduate program in DevOps from Caltech. Supplement that if you are really looking to move to DevOps. Supplement that with AWS or Azure cloud certification. That's going to have more of an impact for you. And as you do that, you're going to understand, once you start going through those certification, you're going to understand like some of those details about those services aren't as relevant as mentioning that you have competency in like setting up cloud environments or configuring cloud environments. You can just use that.
And again, like what was the intention here? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. So
it looks very messy.
I think maybe finding some mentors within your field, because are you seems to me, and this is again what I'm trying to convey to you, is that hiring managers and recruiters are filling in the gaps based on your resume, right? They're filling in the gaps, they're creating their own story. And what I'm trying to highlight here is maybe at some point in time they decided they were gonna, looking at the PMP certification and Scrum Alliance certification, at some point in time they decided they want to be a technical project manager or a Scrum Master. And then they're like, now I want to be a DevOps. Maybe I want to transition to DevOps instead of doing that. And so you want to just pick and choose what this resume is for. Is this resume for QA? Is it resume for transitioning to DevOps positions? Is it one for like a Scrum Master? So you mentioning some of those things, those might be interesting at a Scrum Master, but as a developer or an engineer or a QA or whatever, right? On that agile team, those things are not going to be as relevant.
Yeah. And again, like these part education certifications, honestly, it's not that necessarily to put it in upfront. Before professional experience, put it down. If you wouldn't have any experience, it's okay to, I would recommend to put it up front, right? And again, like depends, because it's distracting.
Yeah.
Now you're targeting for PMP positions, accomplishments. Anyway, I think if you just do the styling, cleaning up this thing, making like, okay.
Yeah.
Styling basically, right?
Yeah. I think they would make their resume like 2x better.
I think even more than 2x.
2x.
Yeah. It's just, this resume doesn't have, doesn't bring this feeling, I want to read this resume. That's the point.
Yeah, totally.
And you want to make it, interesting. Like, like the first resume was pretty good in terms of, I want to read this resume.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And
no, I agree.
I like that.
And I think probably this person has a lot of
experience,
a lot of good experience, things that people are looking for, probably like in addition to what they're looking for, like just from a baseline, like in addition on top of that. So work on their styling, and essentially with the styling, work on your storytelling aspect of it as well. And I think you'll do great, but you'll have a hard time. You'll have much harder time with this resume with its current styling versus if you change it up.
Right. So it looks like you have content, but it wasn't nicely wrapped up. Okay, we have a couple questions. Can copy, explain on Word, transitioning resume, but I agree. So Alex, is it your resume, right?
It's a transitioning. Oh, it's a transitioning resume. Okay, if it is a transitioning resume, I would start from scratch. I'm guessing DevOps. I'm guessing that was the question earlier about
Ah, yeah, right.
You know, QA to
Mhm.
DevOps, and I think it's perfectly good. You want to transition? I would absolutely get some cloud certifications in
Right,
there for DevOps
right.
certifications, different field.
Yeah,
Yeah, Alex, go
Andre.
ahead, please.
Hey, thank you. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for all the feedback. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was hoping to highlight all the knowledge and skill sets that I have in the resume, but to your guys' points, yeah, I agree. It is really overwhelming. So
Mhm.
thank you for that feedback. And yeah, it is a transitioning resume. But I was hoping to be able to reuse it for different types of positions, maybe managerial positions or anything management related as well, which is why I was hoping to put that project management and DevOps.
Please make it separate resume. Don't
Okay.
yeah, make it completely separate. Completely. There
Okay.
should be no even like
Yeah, start from
scratch. Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
This
Yeah.
is very common, like also thing. And again, when I arrived to United States,
Mhm.
my resume in Russia, it was okay to have generic resume where you could apply here or there, but here, not only QA, but what type of QA you want to hire, right? Web, mobile,
Mhm.
like software, hardware, it's also should be very differentiated. So the person have very, I would say, no effort to guess, right?
Yeah.
Don't make people guessing.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I think speaking of this, like not guessing, but also showing the benefits. I think if people are hiring for a junior DevOps engineer, take some of my other feedback first, you know, get some certifications in there. But the other thing is like the QA and kind of Scrum knowledge. Those should be then, because it's a DevOps resume,
Yeah.
they become complementary, but that works in your favor. It actually does not work against you. It actually works for you, because there are I've talked to many DevOps leaders who look at those experience as QA and process kind of, they look at it as a net gain for their team, and it looks, you know, it looks to them like, hey, I'm getting a DevOps engineer and I'm getting this other experience as well. So you have an opportunity to put yourself ahead of it. Just think of it, start from scratch. That becomes complementary,
Yeah.
as opposed to in your resume for QA or Scrum Master. Those things would be front and center.
Yeah, totally. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. It was great session. Was very interesting to see. If you guys want to review your resume, please join to our Crushing Interview platform. And we're also gonna do the mock interviews. I will post a link in the LinkedIn and YouTube channel. Please join us. Those all those we are doing this for free,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, and I'll see you there, and I'll see you next Saturday as well. All right.
All right. Thank you,
All right,
everybody.
guys. Thank you for joining. See you. Bye bye.